My girlfriend is turning 21 and she wants me to throw her a party. How do I break the news that no one will show up? Birthdays have always been hard on my girlfriend. She's had a few parties as a child when no one showed up, and since moving states in the middle of high school, she hasn't made close friends. Here at college, she tries hard to make friends. She talks well to people on a superficial basis, but doesn't have any real friends. She's never been invited to a college party and has often missed out on many typical activities. We've been together for 3 years, since freshman orientation. I don't have friends, but I'm happy that way. I like keeping to myself if I'm not spending time with her. Since she's naturally extroverted, she spends her free time with me or at club meetings trying to connect with people. She asked if I could put together a small party, so I invited some acquaintances, my roommates, etc., and everyone said no. I gave the invites well in advance too. I don't know how to break the news to my girlfriend, as she's been so excited. She thought providing free food and drink would be a great way to make friends, but people don't want to come even for that. What can I do? In the comments, a deleted user asks, why do all these people that you know, friends, roommates, etc., dislike her enough not to come? If she's extroverted, what's going wrong with how she interacts with people to make them not want to be around her? OP says, I don't know. She can be a bit silly and goofy, but I like that about her. She doesn't cause drama, she's a good listener, has a good sense of humor. She's extroverted, but tends to be shy around new people. She also tends to act pretty differently depending on the person. I do that too, to an extent. Honestly, I don't know why people are all declining. I've never been invited to a party, but I would go to support someone. So then, why don't you ask them? OP says, they all make bullshit excuses about being busy. Some of these people I know are not busy that day. I don't think they want to insult her to my face. They probably don't actually dislike her. They're probably basically neutral about her and are surprised that they're invited to her party. Did you tell them that it's a small party? People will attend big parties even if they're not super close to the host, but a small party basically says close friends only. They may even feel that you were mistaken in inviting them if they think it's a small party for her best friends. Edit. Recently, a woman invited me and a few of my friends to her birthday party. We weren't close with her and definitely wouldn't have gone to her apartment for drinks because it would feel weird since, again, we weren't close. But her party was a karaoke party, which is something my friends and I like to do anyway. So we showed up and had a great time with her. Is there anything that your acquaintances love to do that you could build your party around instead of drinking? Armand Malaise says, so you can't tell her without crushing her. You'll either accept that will be the outcome or keep it to yourself and find an alternative way to celebrate with her and you alone. Maybe a nice light dinner and then a fun activity, like a paint and drink event, followed by a stop at a bar. Make her feel like you wanted it to be only the two of you, but don't go over the top. Also, when it's your 21st and you're anywhere that serves alcohol, everyone is your friend. OP replies, she and I actually don't drink. We would be purchasing drinks for other people, but we don't have any interest in it. I've taken her out to dinner the last few years. She's appreciative, but tends to feel sad afterwards because only one person cares that it's her birthday. She's always wanted at least a couple people to care enough to celebrate with her. Honestly, what a weird circumstance, and I do want to know what the exact reason is that no one wants to hang out with her because OP seems to be dancing around the reason. If he's painting her in such a magical and normal light, I don't feel like there should be any reason that people are dodging this event en masse and that it hasn't happened to her for so many years. Just seems like a case of where there's smoke, there is fire, and I don't particularly trust what he's saying. And now, onto the update. I logged into Facebook at like 2 a.m. last night, and my girlfriend has posted a message on the party event wall saying the party was cancelled. She saw the no-shows before I could let her know about it. I called her and suggested some other activities we could do. Things like amusement parks or concerts or taking a cooking class. I thought she'd like all those ideas. She said, no thank you. We were kinda quiet over the phone until she asked me in a really small voice if I could come over. We met outside her dorm at like 3 in the morning. She was crying, as I expected, but it was just watery eyes, not full-on sobs like how she usually cries. It's okay, she said. Some people aren't meant to have friends. I told her she was exaggerating, that she just needs to look in different places, etc. She shook her head and said, "No, I'm done." This morning at breakfast, we passed a lot of mutual acquaintances. Usually my girlfriend smiles and says hello, but today, she kept her eyes on the pavement, not looking at anyone. She barely ate, but other than that, she seemed like her normal self with me, talking and laughing. She just wouldn't look at anyone else. She told me how she's going to use this extra time to get better in her classes, to work on her jewelry, and maybe open an Etsy shop, to read more books. I asked her if this is really what she wanted, and she said, "No, but life doesn't always give you what you want. I didn't want to be an engineer, I didn't want to live in a basement alone, I didn't want to hate college and wish every day that I could drop out, but you make the best of it." Her voice was breaking as she said this, but she didn't cry. She left the breakfast table after that and said she wanted to be alone. Where the hell do I go from here? Her actual birthday is tomorrow, we were throwing the party a week later, and she insists she doesn't want to do anything. Is it bad that part of me sort of agreed with her, that some people aren't meant to make friends? I don't think I am, but obviously she wants friends, and it's making her miserable. Edit, I'm sitting with her in her dorm right now. She's on the bed reading. I'm on the couch minding my own business, just being near her. She's okay. And now for the next update. Short update here. I stayed with my girlfriend for a while last night. She just read a book and didn't talk much. I cuddled her a bit, but she mostly wanted space. This morning, I came to her room with flowers and a gift. She accepted the flowers with a smile. She told me that she wanted to go home to her parents this weekend. I was pretty sad about that, and I wanted to make her feel loved and special, but she said she needed to get off campus for a bit, so I said okay. I took her to the bus stop, said goodbye, and now here I am. She did love the present though. It was a book that she'd been wanting for a while. Hopefully she'll feel better when she comes back. In the comments, Admin UK says, "You've done the right thing so far, so very well done. You're a hell of a guy. One thing though, you might want to ring ahead and tell her parents what happened. I know she seems okay, but you don't go from the level of sadness she has had over the last few days to okay that quickly. Might be best if they keep an eye on her." And OP says, "She's already home by now, it's not very far, and they're likely celebrating her birthday. I don't really want to put a damper on things. She obviously wants to move on." Admin UK replies, "Fair enough then. Still, credit to you. You're an awesome boyfriend and a great human being. I know everyone is feeling for your girlfriend right now, including myself, but you've been through hell too. I've been in similar situations, and I know how helpless and useless you feel, but you're doing all the right things. Top human marks for you." And OP says, "Thanks. I appreciate it." Alice in Borderlands says, "Remember what people said in your last update. Maybe just a quick call to be sure that she arrived safely, nothing more needed." OP says, "She called me once she got there. She's fine." And now, onto the latest update. Anyway, the school year is in full swing and she cries all the time. At least 3 times a week, if not more. She feels like she's taking advantage of my kindness, so she tries not to cry in front of me. She's completely abandoned the search to find friends and doesn't go out except for food, class, etc. There are happy moments too, and she'll still go out with me, but she just seems fragmented overall. She actually did pursue therapy at our university because she felt like she really needed someone to talk to that wasn't me. They informed her that all the spots they had were full, and that unless she was a suicide risk, they didn't have room. Heartless, right? It really made her feel bad, but she didn't want to lie and say she was a suicide risk. She feels lonelier than ever. There's no doubt in my mind that she's depressed. She pours all of her energy into schoolwork and hasn't really touched her hobbies much either. She can't afford therapy other than university, and they won't give it to her. Is there any way she can get the help that she needs? In the comments, lastly, and this might be difficult to hear, But she needs to stop placing so much of a priority on people liking her and wanting to hang out with her. I learned long ago that some people just won't like you, and that's perfectly okay. Nothing at all you can do about it. She should pursue her interests, join clubs, etc. When she begins appearing more confident and well-adjusted, friendships will naturally flow. Ding ding ding, knockout. OP says, that's what she's been doing for the last 3 years. She was actually pretty confident for a while, but I guess she always thought that she would have made 1 or 2 friends by now, and it's starting to crash down around her. Procyon says, you're in your senior year, right? Unfortunately, by now, most people already have a circle of friends. It's going to be much harder to suddenly become the new person in a group who's been hanging out together for years. Close friends in college may not happen for her. She should focus more on getting through school and what comes after. Who knows? Maybe everyone in her new job will love her. At the very least, it'll be a fresh start. Have you considered moving in together after school? I'm pretty introverted and don't hang out with people much, but I come home to my boyfriend every day, and that means a lot to me. I don't ever feel lonely. And OP says, we do plan to move in together. I plan to propose after graduation, but she doesn't have any plans for herself after graduation, so I don't know if she'll be happy or not. Procyon replies, then that's my advice to you. Stop focusing on college and focus on what comes after. She needs to start making plans. She's planning to have a career, right? Can she look into getting an internship in something related to her field? Please remind her that she will be starting all over again after she graduates anyway. Stick it out and then just keep trying. OP replies, she's in a major that she hates, so she's been avoiding everything related to after graduation. I worry about what she's going to do too. She's very smart, but her major isn't right for her at all. So if she got into the industry, she'd probably hate it. Procyon replies to that, well, she's got to figure it out eventually, so why not now? She has to work somewhere after graduating, or you're going to end up supporting her financially. OP says, I don't mind supporting her, but I know she wouldn't like that. She might be thinking about a plan, but she hasn't talked about it much. The question for me at the end of all of this is then, why is she continuing to study in a major that she hates? I know it's so easy for me to just ask that question, but I don't know, why don't you just change to something that you like instead of continuing doing something that you hate? It's obviously negatively affecting her mental health. She's not locked into that major. I guess there's a lot of ways that you could remedy a situation like this, but this story kind of just kept on going after the birthday party, and it strayed so far from it that it's more like a play-by-play account of how their life has been going. Doesn't sound like it's going to be going well anytime soon, so I wish you two the best of luck, OP. Good luck. Our next post is by user oddmountain8384, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for telling my neighbor his wife's early bedtime isn't my problem? Me, 24 male, and my fiancée, 25 female, moved into our first rental 15 months ago. We get along great with our neighbors on one side, but the couple, mid-50s on the other side, have been nightmarish. The pattern started early. 3 weeks after moving in, we politely warned neighbors about a small housewarming. 15 people, music off by 11, over by 12:30, Saturday. Before we could finish explaining, the wife cut us off saying that our afternoon music was too loud because our husband was recovering from a stroke. We were completely apologetic, said we had no idea, hoped he'd get well soon, and reassured her the housewarming wouldn't be too loud or late. Escalating harassment. For 12 plus months, they banged on walls whenever we would make normal noise. Hoovering, hairdryer, music, even mid-afternoon. They deliberately wind up our dogs from their garden and then complain about barking. They've thrown stuff over our fence that sent one of our dogs to the vet with an obstruction, but we have no proof though. Today's incident, I've been doing DIY for our nursery, as my partner is pregnant. I purposely start at midday to be considerate, but got delayed by a hospital appointment halfway through today. So when I got home, I was finishing off sanding at 7:30 to 8 p.m. Still daylight until 10 p.m. here, when the husband stormed over at 7:55 p.m. He said that his wife goes to bed at 6 p.m. and I'm bang out of order. I apologized, but said I'd be 10 more minutes, and he started getting aggressive. I then again said that I was sorry, but ultimately his wife's early bedtime isn't my problem. She could use earplugs or close windows rather than expect the world to stop. He threatened to wake us up at 4 a.m., and I calmly said, "Knock yourself out, mate." He then squared up to me saying, "You'll regret that. I'm gonna make your lives living hell." What, like it wasn't already? Important context, our lease allows power tools until 9 p.m. Council only considers noise nuisance to be nuisance noise between 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Other neighbors warned us that he's damaged previous tenants' property and was caught kicking someone's cat. We're worried about property damage to our cars and house, stress on my pregnant partner, and potential harm to our dogs when the baby comes. We do have cameras, but ultimately don't need the stress of worrying about what they might do due to the pregnancy. Am I the asshole? In the comments, that's a funny profile name. Make a list of the times that you were harassed and call the cops to give them a verbal. Once it's on record, every time you call the cops on them for acting out, the problems for them escalate legally. OP replies, "Yeah, I think that's the way it's gonna go, unfortunately." MLI1 replies, "Then go in and speak to the desk sergeant. Explain the issues and that you don't want to escalate, but the neighbor has now made threats to you to hurt you and your property." Low Temperature says, "Not the arsehole, of course. You are well within your rights to complain to the landlord about this harassment. I don't know where you're at, but where I live, California, the law states that you're entitled to peaceful enjoyment of the property that you are renting. So in a case like this, the landlord would be legally obliged to confront your neighbors and evict them if the harassment doesn't cease. Save all of the evidence you have and talk to the landlord." And OP replies, "We're in the UK, but I'm pretty sure it's a similar situation law-wise. The Landlord Association is aware and is contacting us tomorrow to discuss further. The only thing is, we're not sure whether they rent their house or own it. We'll find out tomorrow. Hoping they rent." And now, onto the update. Cameras have gone up covering the front more, and camera ordered for the back to watch the adjoining fence. Police report has been made, and an officer will be coming out to see us within the next couple of days to get more details. Housing Association are also aware and are contacting us today. Thanks for everyone's advice. We'll update further when I have new developments. And as of right now, when I'm recording this, there aren't any further developments, but I liked this one. It was nice and quick, and that is an egregious bedtime. 6 p.m.? I'm sorry, but is there really people here that go to bed at 6 p.m.? That's crazy. I thought my sister was weird for going to bed at 8:30, 8 p.m., because, it makes sense here in Australia. In the winter, it gets dark at like 5 o'clock, so that's 3 hours of nighttime. But there, it doesn't get dark until 10 p.m. in the UK. Why would you go to bed with 4 hours of sunshine left? Like, I remember living in Ireland and having a very similar sunrise and sunset kind of schedule that they have there. I'm not particularly used to it because where I'm at, it's usually like 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night, consistently throughout the whole year without not many differences. But yeah, my circadian rhythm was definitely thrown off going to bed when it's still sunny at like 10:30 p.m. Couldn't deal with that personally. So with all of that and all of the bullshit going on in this story, like the amount of harassment that they've had to deal with before any real problems came up from those tenants, I can only imagine the scenes, the absolute shit show that's going to go on now that OP is bringing the proper authority into the situation. Very interesting to see what happens to those people. Anyway, thank you for the story and thank you for that small update, OP. Well guys, that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.